the annual Catholic Appeal. We are a community of believers putting our faith into action for thousands of people in Western Massachusetts, filling food pantry shelves, providing pregnancy support and parenting classes, nurturing young faith, reaching beyond bars, providing tuition assistance, communicating God's mercy message. Your donations are thoughtfully distributed. You are Christ's hands on earth. Please support the annual Catholic Appeal.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel, Kathy Harrington has the story of a local business's effort to reimagine the food system. Steve KILTONIC continues his series on the 50th anniversary of the Diaconate in the United States. And we'll tell you about local programs working to address food insecurity in Western Massachusetts. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel as we prepare to celebrate Thanksgiving this week. This is the time when many of us think about food naturally, but for those faced with food insecurity this time of year and heading into the cold winter months can be especially concerning. But there are several organizations in Western Massachusetts working to ease the worries of folks facing a food shortage. Officials at the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts say they are prepared to help more than 200 of their member agencies throughout Berkshire, Franklin, Hampden, and Hampshire counties. These include shelters, meal sites, and food pantries.
Currently, there are approximately 223,000 people throughout the 4 counties of Western Massachusetts that rely on the Emergency Food Network to help put food on their table.
Last year, the food bank distributed 11.6 million pounds of food out of its warehouse in Hatfield that is currently filled to the brim with staples like canned goods, pastas, as well as fresh produce.
We've been working with local farmers and partnering with them, and we're receiving more donations from local farms than we ever have before. And we're also using dollars donated from individuals throughout the community to purchase food from local farms. And we have great partnerships with farms all throughout the Pioneer Valley, getting such fresh produce as sweet potatoes, carrots, corn, parsnips, cabbage, and being able to provide those healthy, fresh food out to the community for families in need. So they're not relying on, foods that are high in fat and salt content, processed foods.
The food bank has also gone mobile, delivering trucks full of fresh and non-perishable groceries from the warehouse directly to the community sites for immediate distribution to residents. The parking lot of St. Michael's Cathedral is host to one mobile bank on the second Friday of each month from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. There are no eligibility requirements to receive food from the mobile food bank. Anyone in need of assistance can attend.
The first week we had over 50 individuals that came down, and now it looks like it has doubled. So that means that the word is getting out, the word is spreading, which is something that we can only hope for. We have this food here for that particular reason, to give out to people that are in need, to give out to families that are in need.
I think for the most part people are quite appreciative, and there's a level of delight at what's available.
And at the Gray House in Springfield's North End, the food pantry is now known as the Market at Gray House.
Like any combination off this table and 8 things off this.
Gray House Executive Director Teresa Liberty says those in the community needing food assistance now have more of a choice. At the end of September, Gray House rebranded its food assistance name and also opened for evening distribution twice a month, focusing on the fact that working families will have one less thing to worry about.
We hear all the time from people who, waited till the very last minute as a last resort coming to us when there was literally no food left in their kitchen and their children were going hungry. That's when they decided to come to receive food assistance. And we want to try to get people before that happens. And we have the food to give out, so we'd rather it be on people's plates than on our shelves.
Liberty assures that the Market at Gray House will not turn anyone away. Over the coming months, Gray House anticipates servicing anywhere from 80 to 140 families a week. She says their biggest distribution will happen Thanksgiving week.
We're hoping to give out meals to over 600 families. Last year we had about 650 families that we gave turkeys and all of the other fixings to.
For more information on these organizations and how they are addressing food insecurity in communities throughout Western Massachusetts, we have a link at iobserve.org. And it's important to remember that area food pantries are in need of year-round donations. Our next story addresses the root causes of poverty. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day, the saying goes. Teach him how to catch a fish, and he eats for a lifetime. It's the premise behind Wellspring Collaborative. Its goal is to create 10 worker-owned businesses employing 100 people in 5 years. The latest business is Wellspring Harvest. Kathy Harrington reports now how this business, with assistance from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, is reimagining the food system.
Last spring, this ceremonial ribbon cutting at the Wellspring Harvest Greenhouse brought new life into this Indian Orchard neighborhood of Springfield.
Thank you for coming. This is your brand new local farm.
Built on the site of the former Chapman Valve, the factory once employed 3,500 people. Left contaminated with radioactive waste, the property has since been cleaned up, but left unused. Until now.
A brand new urban farm like Wellspring Harvest Greenhouse here in Indian Orchard is going to change our food system.
What's changing besides the location of the farm is how the produce will be grown. Tables cover the floor of the 12,000 square foot greenhouse where lettuce is growing hydroponically.
We can grow anything in the greenhouse. It's the same as a regular farm. The benefit of the greenhouse is that we can control the environment, and we can also save energy because the water recirculates, so we use less water. There's less chances of the food being contaminated because we're working in a sterile environment, and everything is pretty much inside of this greenhouse.
Wellspring is the first urban farm to receive certification from the Commonwealth Quality Program that assures the produce is grown and harvested in Massachusetts using practices that are safe, sustainable, and don't harm the environment.
Well, what's wonderful about this is it's so local to this area.
2 months after the ribbon cutting, Wellspring Harvest made its first delivery of lettuce to 4 Big Y supermarkets.
Definitely you're going to get a better taste, you're going to get more nutrition just because it's so fresh and so in season. Whereas some salads, they are coming from California, so you're going to taste the difference.
Located minutes away from the Big Y stores in Springfield, Ludlow, and Wilbraham, the greenhouse is also creating jobs in the neighborhood.
The founder, Fred Rose, his vision is to create a business that will revitalize the food system of the local community. It will create jobs. It will create wealth for those folks that would like to be co-owners.
Stephen is like family too. But he put me to working here in this greenhouse, and you know, it's like a dream for me.
Carlos Rivera grew up in Puerto Rico, where he worked on his family's farm. Wellspring has organized the greenhouse to give all workers the opportunity to become owners.
They're not gonna find another place like here, like this greenhouse. The first time that I see that was building this greenhouse, I say, "Oh my God, it's a dream for me." I see they make a greenhouse that I can work in there.
The greenhouse is also making a difference by supplying free produce to the Community Survival Center in Indian Orchard and to the food pantry in Springfield. Stephen Hilliard manages the greenhouse and brings with him a wealth of agricultural knowledge.
I've worked on 3 vegetable farms in Franklin County. I've worked in ornamental flower growing operations in greenhouses. I've worked on nurseries. I sold greenhouses. I sold irrigation systems. I was 2 years in the Peace Corps in Dominica and the Windward Islands. Basically, everything I've learned comes to bear on this project.
Hilliard says the biggest benefit is the location of the greenhouse in the city, growing food where people eat, eliminating food miles, and time from harvest to table. But to succeed, the community needs to support locally grown produce when making food choices in the supermarket. In Springfield, I'm Kathy Harrington for Reel to Reel.
As we just learned, Wellspring received a grant from both the national and local campaigns for human development. Here to talk more about CCHD grants is Catherine Buckley Bronner, Director of Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Springfield. Hello, Catherine. Thanks so much for being with us today on Reel to Reel.
Well, thank you, Sharon.
So, Catherine, the Catholic Campaign for Human Development supports anti-poverty and social justice programs, as we know, through grants. What kind of grants are we talking about?
We're talking about two basic grants. One is a community organizing grant, and the other is an economic development grant.
And for our viewers, besides helping by giving to the annual Catholic Campaign for Human Development collection, what can folks do?
Well, we certainly do appreciate people's giving generously on the annual campaign. But CCHD was actually formed as a way to actually actively involve Catholic parishioners in the work of justice and providing ways for people to sustainably grow and develop their own economy and their own communities. So we actually encourage people to be a part of this through any of the community organizing agencies that we fund, and most of them work through the parishes. So we actually want to see more Catholics actually being sort of boots on the ground and helping those who are trying to help themselves.
All right, Catherine Buckley Bronner, Director of Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Springfield, thanks so much for being with us today, and best of luck with all of your programs.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
And the annual CCHD collection is being taken up in parishes this weekend. You can make your donation helping to address poverty by using the specially marked envelope. Place it in your parish collection basket this week or next. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Steve KILTONIC has the third part in our series on the diaconate in the United States. And celebrating history, culture, and prayer in Vienna and Prague. These stories and more are still to come on Reel to Reel.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
just finished this
see 1, 2, 2, and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
Come to Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence for retirees looking for an ideal rental setting to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We offer bright 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, wellness and entertainment programs, all with a friendly community spirit on beautiful grounds. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
St. Mary's Parish School of Westfield.
St. Mary's Parish Schools have been educating children since 1898. Centrally located in Westfield, with a successful college prep curriculum, small class sizes, in a safe, respectful, and nurturing learning environment, where students of all faiths are welcome, with 13 competitive sports teams, an exceptional fine arts program, and a 100% college acceptance rate. To learn more, visit stmsaints.org.
The annual Catholic Appeal. We are a community of believers putting our faith into action for thousands of people in Western Massachusetts, filling food pantry shelves, providing pregnancy support and parenting classes, nurturing young faith, reaching beyond bars, providing tuition assistance, communicating God's mercy message. Your donations are thoughtfully distributed. You are Christ's hands on earth. Please support the annual Catholic Appeal.
Today, in the final segment of our three-part series on the 50th anniversary of the United States Diaconate, Steve Kiltonic profiles Deacon Alberto Santiago Martinez from Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish in Holyoke.
This week, our three-part series on the United States Diaconate concludes with a profile of Our Lady of Guadalupe's Alberto Santiago Martinez. Santiago Martinez doesn't fit the typical profile of a permanent deacon in the U.S. He's single, fairly young as deacons go, 47, and Hispanic, although Hispanics currently make up one of the fastest growing segments in the diaconate. Alberto was one of 9 deacons ordained from the diaconate's most recent class, 2017. During the rite of ordination, each man prostrated himself before God, pledging allegiance to Springfield Bishop Mitchell T. Rosansky. But Deacon Alberto's journey to become a deacon hasn't been easy. Born in Puerto Rico, Alberto came to Holyoke in Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish when he was 15. Here his faith was established early, becoming an altar boy at 6.
I grew up in church. My grandparents taking care of me when my mother abandoned me when I was 6 years old. So my grandparent from my mother's side taking care of me, bring me to the church. We do the rosary at 6 o'clock. So I always been in church.
In choosing to become a deacon, Santiago Martinez, who's an aerospace technician by day, wanted something more fulfilling from parish life.
I've been serving for altar server for 37 years. And I say it's time to give more and I be able to do a lot of things a deacon can do now, like do baptism, doing the wedding, go to funeral, do the gospel and mass.
As part of his diaconate activities, Santiago Martinez also serves at Immaculate Conception Parish in Holyoke and St. Bridget's Parish in Amherst. He also heads up the altar server program at Our Lady of Guadalupe. Deacon Alberto visits the sick who are shut in, as well as parishioners in nursing homes and hospitals. But of all his ministries, Alberto seems most comfortable on the streets of Holyoke.
Most of the time I spend in driving the city of Holyoke, looking for the homeless, pray for them, because this is what God called me to do. This is one of the real reasons I want to be a deacon. Try to bring more people back to the church. A lot of us, we're not thinking about the one outside because they are part of the creation. No matter who they are, no matter what they do. I'm not here to judge nobody because Jesus didn't do that to us. So we have to be imitating Jesus.
Deacon Alberto takes to the streets looking for the homeless, bringing them food, water, and communion.
And I remember that reading when Jesus say, I am thirsty, you give me to drink. I don't have clothes, and you dress me. Jesus called me to serve. Even he said to me, don't feel obligating to do this. So I'm doing because I love it. I really love it.
Alberto hopes a simple gesture like handing out rosaries or prayer cards may change hearts and minds and just maybe help restore faith. While Faith on Fire, held every summer, is just one of many diocesan events he enjoys attending in part because he meets people of all ages. And when he feels the stress of everyday life is too much to fulfill his obligations, Alberto makes the connection upstairs.
And I look to the sky and I say, Jesus telling me, you want to be a deacon? Now you are a deacon. You better do what I tell you to do. This is the way I talk with Jesus. And I feel he talked to me the same way.
Yes, yes. God bless you.
Deacon Joe Gard, Deacon Bob Farrow, and Deacon Alberto Santiago Martinez, each embracing life's daily challenges that has been part of their spiritual journey and call to serve as permanent deacons in the Springfield Diocese. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
In case you missed any of the episodes of the three-part series on the diaconate, it will be shown in its entirety on Real to Real next weekend. Over the last few weeks, we've been highlighting for you the experiences of a July pilgrimage group, along with the sights and sounds of Eastern Europe. In the last installment of our four-part series today, we leave Poland to celebrate culture, history, and prayer amidst the beautiful cities of Vienna and Prague.
After a 5-hour journey through southern Poland and Slovakia, we arrive in Vienna, Austria for a 2-night stay in this beautiful city. Vienna is the capital and largest city in Austria with a population of over 1.8 million people. In the 15th century, it became the residence of the Habsburg dynasty until the end of World War I. This dynasty is marked by the magnificent Hofburg Palace. Together with its many squares and gardens, the Hofburg occupies 59 acres. And if this palace wasn't enough, we continue our imperial tour at the summer residence known as Schönbrunn. This 1,441-room Baroque palace is one of the most important architectural, cultural, and historical monuments in Austria. The history of this palace and its vast gardens spans over 300 years and was a royal escape for the Habsburg monarchs. I am standing in front of what is the central part of Vienna, the Cathedral of St. Stephen. This is a magnificent and a historic cathedral, dating back to the 12th century, taking 300 years to construct. It's one of Austria's most popular attractions. With its 450-foot spire and richly decorated roof, it is Vienna's most important Gothic edifice and represents 8 centuries of architectural history. The interior of the cathedral is magnificent with its many life-size statues and clustered pillars. It is here that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart wedded Constance Weber in 1782. It was also here that Mozart's Liturgy of Christian Burial took place in 1791. Speaking of which, it wouldn't be a trip to Vienna without a traditional Mozart concert. After 2 days of enjoying the rich history of Vienna, including its fine cuisine, we make the 3-hour journey to the Czech Republic and enjoy 3 nights in the lovely city of Prague. Prague is the capital and largest city in the Czech Republic. Founded in the late 9th century, it quickly became the seat of Bohemian kings, some of which ruled as emperors of the Holy Roman Empire. The city thrived under the rule of Charles IV, who ordered the building of the new town in the 14th century. It fell under Habsburg rule and became a capital in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. In 1918, after World War I, the city became the capital of Czechoslovakia. Mostly undamaged in World War II, Prague's medieval center remains a wonderful mixture of cobbled lanes, walled courtyards, cathedrals, and countless church spires. In 1993, Czechoslovakia was divided and Prague became the capital of the new Czech Republic. It is home to about 1.2 million people. We celebrate Mass in the Church of Our Lady before Tin. The twin towers of this beautiful-looking Gothic church rise over 260 feet and can be seen from all over the city. Founded in 1385, it's the oldest church in Prague, and its magnificent Baroque interior gives us much to contemplate as we celebrate Mass together. Bishop refers to this city as Krakow on steroids. And I understand completely what he's speaking about because it has the charm and the beauty of Krakow, but is in a much larger scale. This magical city of bridges, cathedrals, gold-tipped towers, and church domes has been mirrored in the surface of the Vltava River for more than 10 centuries. A charming spot in Prague is the Charles Bridge across the Vltava River. Constructed from the mid-14th through the early 15th century, it replaced an earlier 12th century bridge and was the most important connection between Prague Castle and Old Town. Prague Castle was constructed as a fort in 870 AD. Over the centuries, new buildings have been added and extensive renovations and improvements have taken place. And then there is St. Vitus Cathedral. St. Vitus is a magnificent structure. Our pilgrims were able to tour this beautiful cathedral, one of the most beautiful cathedrals in the world. Ground was broken in 1344, but it was actually finished in 1929. For most of this time, it stayed in use, despite its continuous construction. The city is best known for the Infant of Prague. We have the privilege of celebrating Mass together in the Church of Our Lady Victorious, in which the statue is enshrined. Most historians believe that the original statue was carved in Spain around 1340 in a Cistercian monastery by a monk who had a vision of the child Jesus. A pious tradition claims that Saint Teresa of Avila possessed the statue in the early 16th century. The statue found its way to Prague during Habsburg rule in 1556, and in 1628 was given to a local Carmelite monastery by Princess von Lobkowicz. Soon after, Prague was invaded, and the statue was almost lost forever. A priest discovered it in the rubble of a church and enshrined it in a new oratory. While cleaning the statue, the priest heard the infant Jesus say to him, "Have pity on me, and I will give pity on you." When the priest needed more funds to repair the statue, the infant Jesus said, "Place me near the entrance of the sacristy, and you will receive aid." The need was miraculously met, and the statue was restored.
The devotion to the Infant of Prague is a devotion to the humanity of the Lord Jesus, and realizing that he did not come on the clouds as an overwhelming power, but rather he came to us as a child.
Bishop Mitch receives a replica of the infant from the Carmelite Superior to bring back to our diocese as a memento of our visit to this beautiful church. We recall a beautiful journey which took us through Poland, into Vienna, and then into the Czech Republic in this capital city of Prague. And the sights and sounds of all the places we've been will certainly last in our hearts. These are moments that we will never forget, and we hope that you have enjoyed watching this journey of ours through these great countries. God bless.
And we'd like to thank Father Gary and Chief Videographer Bill Pecosha for taking the time to produce these wonderful pieces. If you missed any of this 4-part series, head over to our website, iobserve.org, to find a link to these stories and other reel-to-reel segments from our archives. Also, thanks so much to Bishop Mitch for his spiritual guidance on this trip. The pilgrims were really excited to be in his presence for this 12-day journey. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, you can find updates anytime, as well as information and news on the Catholic Church at iobserve.org. We are also on Facebook, updating daily while our reporters work on stories for Reel to Reel. Check us out and friend us at Catholic Communications. We will see you next week for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.